Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys, coming at you live after the U.S. men's national team dominant victory over Ghana. We will get into that and a recap of the less dominant game versus Germany. But we'll do that in the U.S. men's national team corner. But first, boys, how are we feeling? Mike, I see you're repping the Kalamazoo FC kit. That is a beauty. How are we feeling
Holy
tonight?
shit.
Feeling great. Little love for the hometown team. Pretty pretty jersey. I like the colors. Happy man. Good performance from the boys
Lions
today.
blue, real football.
That's right. A little
Our
Hawaiian
town, our
blue.
team.
Feeling good.
Nick, the Celtic kit. I love it. You a big Cameron Carter Vickers guy, I see.
My wife bought me this jersey, so I'm pretty happy it was a good one. And did anyone just hear Palmer say real football? Do we need to find a new producer?
We might be in the need of a new producer if anybody
Hey,
wants to
good
drop
luck
their
finding
LinkedIn
another
or
one of
whatever.
Hey,
me, bitch.
Niners and Lions on level
Slide in
footing.
the DMs.
Yeah, well, different type of football that we can start maybe a different podcast of football with the boys. But
Good.
footy with the
Noted.
boys here.
Real football with the boys.
We are away from the international break and we are into a new week of the Premier League, coming off of a lot of storylines of last week of the Premier League. And one of those biggest headlines comes around my featured game of the week. It is Manchester City versus Brighton. Manchester City has had two losses in a row for the first time, I believe, in 5 years under Pep Guardiola.
Yep.
So now going into a game versus Brighton, who, yes, they're not a Man City, yes, they're not Arsenal, but they are a very good team. Man City's not getting any type of easy bounce back game here. I think this will be a really interesting one to watch. Nick, you think Man City gets the bounce back here, right?
Yeah, I mean you got to bet on them, right? I mean Pep probably willed their ass last week, so feels like they should win. But I mean Pep's also said that Brighton's like the best build-up team in the world. Like he pretty sure he said that last year talking about De Zerbi's side. So um, not an easy game by any means, but Rodri back in the side, I think ends up being the difference. Brighton's midfield not like they play really well, but not as good, like as much quality as you might think. Especially with how well they're playing. So
Don't say that
I
in
like
front
Man
of you
City
know
this
who.
game. Yeah, seriously. Uh, I like Man City this weekend, but I don't know. What do you think, Trace?
I like him too. Rodri being back's a huge boost. And yeah, Pep loves to, compliment people. He kind of done it a lot the last couple of years, and I don't know how much of it is true or he's just saying something that gets a little bit of buzz. He said that with De Serbi last year, one of the best managers in the world. He said about Mateus Nunes this year, one of the best players he's watched. So some of those things are like kind of true, but some of them are reaches, and he's being a little generous. But I like City to bounce back. I think Brighton will play an okay game, but City needs the points, and they need the win, being in a little bit of a slump. So they'll get it.
Yeah, I do think that Man City, it'd be hard to beat them to force a three-game slide. I think Brighton kind of falls in a bad spot here where Man City's going to be playing full might to get their form back, and that counter pressing against Brighton is going to be tough to deal with. Well, Mike, we go into another game that might not fill our Toffee fans with a lot of hope. The
Derby.
Merseyside Derby here, Liverpool versus Everton. Give us your rundown. Give us your preview. Give us some hope.
Derbies are always tough, and we play Liverpool hard every time. Sean Dyke will have the boys ready, but it's at Anfield. We've had a up and down season, mostly down, but a few ups. Uh, and Liverpool, as we've said, are cooking. They're in form, and I'm very scared. I just hope it's not a lot. I hope we lose like a 2 goal game. That's being optimistic, but I think it'll be more than that. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Nick, give
Dude,
me give me a different answer.
have some fucking faith, bro. What do you mean? It's a derby.
Yeah,
There's no
Dude, it's a
for
derby, but
everything
it's a
quality.
rivalry game.
Dude, Derby weekend, Merseyside Derby, it's electric. It's gonna be a close game. I don't see Liverpool running away with it. And you know my thoughts on Liverpool this year. I think they're playing the best ball of anyone. But no, dude, it's a derby game. Come on, it's gonna be close. Whether like even if the score line like suggests a bigger gulf, I bet it's gonna be scrappy. It's gonna be a close game. Maybe Liverpool pull away at the end, but I Toppy's getting a point away here. You know, Dyke is gonna play his brand of football specifically against this team. Low blocks. You shithouse your way to a point at Anfield. I don't hate it.
I love it, but I just think we're just so outclassed. I don't see it happening. I see our chances of getting a result the same odds as Michigan State getting a result against Michigan this weekend. So
Derby games, bro. Rivalry
Derby
weekend. It's gonna
games,
happen.
rivalry
Yeah, we
weekend.
fucking
I don't
pull
like.
up for Michigan, bro.
I don't have a whole
We'll
lot of
see what
faith in either one of
happens.
my teams.
I don't have too much hope either, but I would bet on Liverpool. And we all know what that means for Everton. That could be some good news.
True, bro.
I would bet on Liverpool. Nick, I have some bad news. I would bet on Arsenal this weekend as well. You have your featured team of the week, Arsenal Chelsea. How nervous are you the second I said I would bet on Arsenal here?
Yeah, it makes me feel worse. Like it doesn't make me feel
I bet.
better or
As
stay
long
the
as he doesn't
same.
put money down, it's fine.
Yeah, we'll see. I like, another London game. I like Arsenal's chances. That like I think yesterday on Twitter said like Reece James on track to play against Arsenal. And then today it was like Reece James injured 10 days ago, unlikely for Arsenal. Um, I don't know. I'm not that worried. Chelsea seems to have found like a tiny bit of form, but we've talked about it. It's against these promoted teams, so I honestly am just really hopeful to see our strongest front three start this weekend. Both Gabby's back and healthy and playing well. Jesus finally got a start for Brazil, which felt good, even though they lost. And yeah, Martinelli back in the left wing, Saka on the right. We haven't seen that front three since like April, I think, or something like that. So
Crazy.
hoping to see them all play together. Because we're a dangerous team with those three guys up front. And if we do, I like our chances pretty pretty strongly, especially at the ends. I'm gonna go 2-0 to the Arsenal this weekend. Also gonna be my lock, but we'll talk about it later.
I love it. Mike, up the Blues?
I didn't know Saka was back. I mean, I'm up the
He's
Blues
in, he's in
partially.
contention. He's in
Okay.
contention.
Yeah, I love to see that front three play. They're one of the
Mhm.
best in the world to watch. They're just so fun, so quick, so young. Um, here's where I put my money where my mouth is. Comes down to the midfield for Chelsea, I'm thinking. So that's a hell of a battle.
I think that part is true.
Two
It does
It's
strong
come down to
not
midfields.
what battle, dude. Don't piss me off on a Tuesday night, bro. Stop
I'm
it
not.
with like
I
hell
won't
of a
go as far to
battle.
say as Chelsea even gets close to Arsenal's midfield with Declan and Odegaard and most likely Party. That's a hard one to the top. Um, I think Chelsea's beat up defensive line, missing a lot of guys, is going to hurt them. So yeah, Arsenal should win this game. I think they will. I think it'll be closer than the Liverpool Everton game is. That's what I'll say.
I disagree,
Yeah.
but whatever.
I think it's about as unfortunate of a game you could possibly have as a Chelsea fan. Starting to gain a little bit of form. Mudryk even scores over the international break. Get a little bit of momentum, and you're running into the jigsaw that is Arsenal. They're going to
Yeah,
be hard to
Ukraine played
figure
the
out here.
powerhouse Malta. That's a
Yeah.
Hey,
hell
really
of a
quick,
result.
Hey,
you guys see Fabrizio like keeps tweeting about Mudryk? Is he low-key in Chelsea's pocket? Because like every time Mudryk does anything, he automatically tweets about it, and
I think
they're
he just
like,
knows he's going to get impressions. That man's Twitter impressions check is just wild. He makes like 50,000 tweets a day, and they all get like at least 80,000 likes. That man is
He's
getting his
wired in.
money, getting his bread.
I think
maybe
he
it's
was
just my
partly
feed, but I
responsible
only
for
see
that
Chelsea stuff for him.
that
Yeah,
transfer
I think that's a
from
little. I
Shakhtar to
see a lot
Chelsea.
of
So
stuff from him.
I think there could be a connection there.
I think you're
He
right,
does a
Trace,
lot of
but
American stuff to get American impressions too. I have seen
little
like Taylor Booth.
conspiracies.
Taylor Booth was being linked to Manchester United randomly this summer.
It
So
was not.
that may just be Ten
According
Hag
to
because he
Fabrice.
has a history at FC Utrecht, and that's all he tends to buy players from is teams he has connections with. But speaking of Ten Hag and wild rumors, Manchester United is going to be playing against Sheffield United. Is this a lock? I want to a simple answer here, boys. Manchester United will win this, right? Right,
Yeah.
Mike?
I mean, Manchester United shit, but Sheffield's shittest. They're so bad. So yeah, they
Yeah.
have to win. If they don't, if Man U loses this game, literally fucking fire and Eric Ten Hag right away. Like it's inexcusable if you lose this game.
It would be awfully funny, Nick. Could it happen?
Listen, the
Be
fact
hilarious.
that Trace didn't just say they're locked to win, but that they have to win. Of course they have to. Are they 100% locked to win this game versus Sheffield? No shit. They're 100% locked. Do I expect them to? Yeah, but
They're
oh,
68%
I can
locked.
just I can imagine the glorious Sunday afternoon pod of us talking about Man U dropping points to Sheffield.
I
I
love a
have my
1-1
hopes
draw
and
with
dreams.
McBurney.
Dude, Arsenal can lose to Chelsea and then Man U lose to Sheffield. I'm still probably having a pretty happy weekend. Like it's hilarious. So
If
I don't
Scott
know.
McTominay sees the field, Man U wins this game. That's my lock.
Fair, fair,
Yeah.
fair.
The Dan of our generation. Now we go to a team with a stout back line of Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson. We'll see how they fare after this international break. Anthony Robinson was out this international break due to the onset of a sports hernia, so we'll see if he's there for a London derby nonetheless. Spurs
Hey,
didn't
guy,
look the
I don't know what
greatest.
team this is.
Fulham.
Spurs and Fulham.
Tottenham versus Fulham.
Thank you.
Yeah. Spurs Fulham's London derby. Spurs did not look their greatest against Luton, only squeezing out a 1-0, and Basuma will now be out. Nick, is this the game where it starts to tumble for Spurs?
No, you guys have a higher opinion on Fulham than I do. So I have faith they'll knock this one out of the park. Get a little win here. Especially with seems like Anthony's out, and honestly, it feels like Anthony might be Fulham's best player outside of Pellegrini, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, I like Spurs this game. I still think it's a bit of a facade, what's been going on, a little fraudulent. Um, but they're definitely a better squad than Fulham.
Yeah.
I think
Mike,
comfortable win.
big
Yeah,
Ange.
for
Big Ange
comfortable
count?
win for Spurs. Sonny and Kulusevski finding a few goals this international break always helps for the confidence. So I think they'll score a few, and I don't think Fulham will score.
Yeah, I think Fulham just has so many struggles with scoring, and Tottenham does play a good system with the 8 sprinting in. They get goals. They get goals. Fulham will not. So that does not work out too hot. That is it for our Big Six roundup. Now going into the rest of the Premier League, and the rest of the Premier League does not disappoint. We have a potential case for Game of the Week here with Aston Villa versus West Ham. Two streaky teams, but very good so far this season. Boys, this is a bit of a toss-up. Nick, who are you taking here?
Dude, I don't I we talked about the tier list, but I think Villa's a little streaky, a little fraudulent, and I really like this West Ham team a lot. 2 points separating the teams. It is at Villa Park, so you know, hard environment to play in if you're West Ham. But again, I don't know. This West Ham team feels really balanced. I believe in them more than I believe in Aston Villa. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm taking West Ham this week up the Hammers.
Mike, what Aston Villa do we see here? Are they blowing them out? Are they getting blown out?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think they could tie a game, and then they went and tied it last weekend. So maybe they'll just tie again. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Um, I think this is the most competitive game of the weekend with these
Yeah.
two sides. It seems like the most evenly matched. So a draw sounds good to me. A few goals apiece.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be some goals in here. A lot of talent on both sides. A lot of people that are in some really good form. So another entertaining watch. There are some good matches this week to keep your eye on. Another one you might bet on it not being as good of a game, and I say bet with a lot of double meaning there. It is Tonali versus Bookie. I mean, Newcastle versus Crystal Palace here. Tonali is obviously in some deep shit with his gambling. Sounds like there might be some different treatment of him than there was with Tony, but Newcastle Palace, we're still choosing Newcastle, right? even though they're only separated by one spot in the table. Nick,
Yeah. Honestly, I'm starting to fall off a little bit on Newcastle. I do like them a lot. I think St. James is maybe the hardest place to play in the Prem outside of like Anfield on a big game. Honestly, I don't think Anfield shows up on like every single game day at where St. James does, but there's nothing like a big game day football night at Anfield. So um, they should win. Palace, I think we talked about it last week. They're not as bad as people think. They're actually like pretty solid team. Maybe like closer to those Europa League contending teams than they are to like fighting in relegation or something like that. So, I like Newcastle at home. I think that's a big difference for me. But yeah, fuck the Premier League for just it's like pretty blatant racism. White guy's good for gambling. Tony, 8 month ban for gambling.
living out.
What are we doing? So, yeah, I'll take Newcastle. But yeah, fuck the Prem.
I think they'll end up banning him for some time.
They
I hope
have
so.
to. I mean, Faglioli on Juventus caught with the same thing, and he just got a 7th-month ban. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, I think I saw that.
I think there's gonna be pressure on it. I'll keep
But
soaring with
even
the
like the
Eagles here.
media,
I think it'll be a tight game. Being at St. James, I feel like Newcastle's destined to win, but Denali not being in the midfield, I assume he won't play. Um, it's a huge hole. So I like maybe a 1-0 victory for Newcastle, but it's tight.
Yeah, I still think that Newcastle has a bit too much quality for Crystal Palace to handle.
Yep.
And I think this is where we start to see in the year that these teams that want to be closer to those European spots have to start to distance themselves from teams like a Crystal Palace that I don't think necessarily has European aspirations. Going to teams that most certainly both do not have European aspirations, but really just survival aspirations. It is Bournemouth versus Wolves. Wolves has looked better as of recent, and Bournemouth has looked worse. Is it as straightforward as that, Mike? Is it is it going to be Wolves here, or is Bournemouth going to pull the Wolves and look shit and then turn it around a bit?
Dude, I've been loving Bournemouth. We like how they play. It's been the statement that we've said all year, but they haven't got a freaking win. And they're in 19th. Wolves has looked better recently. They play some actually kind of attractive football at times. Um, so yeah, I like
They
Wolves to
have some
win.
ballers.
Bournemouth doesn't
Neto
look like they're
Acuna.
gonna score any goals. I mean, if I'm reading it right, they scored the least goals in the league, so I don't expect that to change. Um, and I don't think it's even all that close. I think Wolves kind of takes this one.
Nick, do you see it the same way as Wolves gonna stamp their mark in the league? Maybe get a little bit of breathing room from that bottom three.
I don't know. I'm still attracted to the style of football that Bournemouth plays. Kind of in the same boat as Trace there. It's just that they don't have a great striker. I mean, Solanke's fine, but he's not enough.
He's
And
fine.
also their center back pairing is also just fine, but not really any real quality there. I know they have like that young Ukrainian who's got like potential, but like he's not there yet. So yeah, I don't know. I like Bournemouth. They've been playing well. It's at home for the Cherries, but Wolves with the guys that they have in form right now, specifically that front three. I'll say a draw. I'll give them a draw. I think it'll be a good game though. Sneaky decent game. 1-1.
Yeah, I really want to see Bournemouth pull this one out. I do think they have some talents on that team that can make things happen, but they have not so far. Hopefully, they can figure it out here after the international break and some time to reflect. Going into some teams that certainly will want to figure it out. One that had it a little bit more figured out at the start of the year and has started to slide, and one that has not really had it figured out the entire season. Brentford, Burnley. Who we got here, boys? I'll start with you, Mike.
This is a stinker, man. I couldn't think of a worse matchup to watch. Like you couldn't pay me to watch this game, man. Um, no offense to the Burnley and Brentford fans out there, but what are we looking for
They're
here?
gonna
I mean,
riot, bro. They're gonna boycott our
nothing.
fucking pod.
Brentford stunk this year. Burnley stunk this year. I mean, Burnley doesn't have a chance to beat too many teams, and Brentford is one of them. So maybe Vincent Company will get the boys going and get a result here. But I don't know. It could be 0-0. I could see that happening.
Nick, will you watch a second of this one?
I'll watch a highlight maybe here or there.
Yeah,
um,
maybe.
I like Brentford at home. We're betting against the bottom three. And I like Mbomo to get them a 1-0 win.
I
Oh
like
yeah.
it. I do want Burnley to start playing a little bit better. They were playing good ball in the championship, like dominant in the championship, and now they've really fallen off. I think that will
Great
come up
season last
later.
year.
Something I say is I think they play in a similar way to how the U.S. men's national team gets coached, where they might be not adapting their style of play to who they need to be, depending on who they're playing against with these better teams. Speaking of U.S. men's national team, we have the U.S. men's national team goalie who had a great performance in both games, really. Nottingham Forest versus Luton. It's a Ethan Horvath revenge game here. He is the second string. He will be giving some dirty looks towards that Luton Town team. Boys, does Luton Town stand a chance against an Ethan Horvath revenge game? Mike?
Uh yeah.
Yeah.
I think they stand a chance. I mean, Nottingham hasn't been
Can't
able to
say
score
this
any
about
goals
Ethan
recently.
Horvath.
I mean, Tylo's not there. That's where the goals come from. They don't really seem to score or look like they're going to score without him out there. Um, yeah, why the hell not, dude? I'll take Luton to get a draw here.
Nick, are we forgetting how bad Luton is, or are we forgetting how
Listen,
bad Nottingham Forest is?
They're staying up.
copy and paste my analysis from the last game onto this one, except Gibbs White will give them the win. 1-0 to Nottingham.
Morgan Gibbs
Nice.
White.
Gibbs White, get in there, mate. Matt Turner with a hat trick, I'm guessing, all from goal kicks. Plays beautifully in the top
Sure.
bins, as we would all suspect. Honestly, it's probably a low odds bet there. But now we get into the U.S. men's national team. They had two games this international break, one versus Germany, one versus Ghana. Two very different opinions on those two games. 3-1 loss against Germany. They looked outclassed. They looked like they let the game get way too open, not organized defensively. Uh, but a masterclass goal by Christian Pulisic. What a absolute banger. Complete opposite for Ghana, but let's stick with Germany first. And Mike, I know you had some thoughts. What were you thinking when it came to 3-1 Germany USA, and Germany had their way in that second half with the US?
There was a lot of ebb and flow in this game. Ultimate highs, ultimate lows. Ultimate high being that Christian Pulisic banger. I mean, that was a phenomenal goal. Dribbles 2-3 guys and then rifles at top right corner against one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So that was phenomenal. But as you said, then we let the game get a little too loose. We got stretched, particularly our front four, Reina, Balogun, Weah, and Poli would get sucked so far up the field, pressing, which I like the press. I think it works. I think we make the defensive line seem a little bit shaky. But with the guys that Germany has in the midfield, that could be an issue. And it was an issue. They were able to play into those guys and then transition so quickly when they have a Musiala, they have Leroy Sané, they have world-class talent or almost world-class talent in that attack, and they can just go so quick, and they picked us apart, and we got caught on those counters, and then our defense wasn't able to compensate for it. I thought Tim Ream played okay. I thought Chris Richards played okay. Sergino Dest was
He had
very
his
good
hands full with fun.
attackingly, but Joe Scally, I'm not the biggest Joe Scally fan. I don't think he does too
Oh,
well with the ball. So yeah, we got sucked up without having Tyler Adams to anchor us in the midfield. We couldn't break those counters, and then defensively, especially when we were pinned into our own box, we couldn't 1v1 defend. We had guys go into the same attacker, so Richards and Ream would get sucked to the same guy, and then that's kind of how at least 2 of the 3 goals happened against us. I think we
Yeah.
got too sucked into the attack. We got too energetic after that first goal, where we should have maybe transitioned to a more defensive game plan after that.
Nick, as a defender, seeing Musa and McKennie try and play that 6, and instead of creating two different lines of confrontation or different angles, playing a almost 6 at the back and letting Germany run horizontally across it. How painful was that to see that defensively and see those mistakes cost the US so dearly?
Yeah, the midfield wasn't great, but I mean, it's not a super defensive midfield to start. I think Trace is right. Like Adams was missed in this game, maybe more so than others. Would have been a perfect player to break up play. Honestly, I think it's our best center back pairing, which is scary because that was a really poor performance from the both of them. Some of those goals, like Germany worked it well, but you can't be. It felt like mental lapses from both of those guys. I actually think Joe Scally defended like pretty decently one on one. He's not the greatest with the ball, but that's not his thing, you know. So
Yeah, that's true.
I was okay with his performance. I don't think we need to talk too much trash about him. And plus, he's not one of our starting fullbacks anyways. I think he held his own well. Serginho, I mean, as always, well on the ball, not great off of it. Yeah, it shows like the next step of what the U.S. men's national team has to take. Because obviously they played well. The Pulisic goal is great. It shows we have the quality, but yeah, defensively and tactically, I would say like a D minus kind of performance on that side of things.
Yeah, I think it was obvious how much Gio Reyna can also affect a game with just his presence, connection, combo play. It seemed like once De La Torre came in, it was a bit
Yeah,
of a confusion of the roles because none of them
he
are
had a
really,
bad game.
Yep.
and Gio Reyna is just so good at holding the ball, dribbling, turning, finding a connecting pass, whereas that was missing in the second half, and Germany, with their tactical adjustments, were doubling down on that. But then we switched it around, and tonight we played against Ghana, and it was a 4-0 win. All the people that you would really want to make sure that they're in form going back to their club got a goal here. Giovanni Reyna, Flo Balogun, Pulisic, and Giovanni Reyna actually got two. Almost had it. If he would have taken that penalty, would have got a little hat trick. Would have had a little fun little hattie over to good old Greg Berhalter.
How you
They
doing?
looked a lot better than this. I think one of the big reasons was Gio Reyna and Balogun were a lot more involved here, and uh, I think Tim Weah had a very good game in terms of connecting and making runs. Sergino Dest doing Sergino Dest things, just dribbling, looking very confident on the ball. Mike, what did you see tonight that excited you about this team and how they were playing and how they might have improved from the Germany game?
There were a lot of exciting things about this game, but Gio Reyna's easily the highlight. Looked magnificent. I mean, the way he links up, his press is good. They almost go into like a two striker when they're pressing. Balogun takes one side of the field, Reyna goes on the other. I like that a lot. Uh, his goal, his first one is great, and his second goal is even better. Um, and he lets Weah kind of do his thing more, where he can be a fucking speed demon. And we saw that he is. I don't know if I've seen a faster player. I mean, I'm sure I have, but
Oh,
he looks like
relax.
a he looks like a
He's
he looks
wild.
like a sprinter. He dusts guys. Um,
Makes fast guys look
and
not fast.
I think it frees Pulisic a little bit to not have to be the only creator. Reyna looked like he might be our best player. I mean, based off his performance today. Balogun was very impressive. His link-up play with Sergino Dest on that first goal, excellent. Drops in, one touch, gets the ball back, slots it across, takes a little deflection, Reyna buries it, and then his goal is class. It comes from a press, pick the ball off the defender, and then he gets the ball in the box and beautiful little turn, tucks it away in the top corner. That's what you want from their striker. That little two-touch goal, that shows that he's at another level. and I think it's his best game in the United States jersey to date.
I think so. I think he did very well with combo play, but then he also could have had another goal or two, but he got them on frame, got them good shots, almost got Pulisic a goal. Looked very good. Nick, Gio Reyna, Yunus Musa, both 20 years old in our midfield. How far do you think they go? Can they be that real world star, world 11, world beater type players?
Not about that far,
It's
but it
pretty
could
high
take
up
them.
there.
It could take them to like
20 years old.
they both have levels.
We're
They have levels to go. Specifically, I think I said it last week, I think, but like Gio is the guy who changes everything for this team. I don't ever want to see this fucking guy play winger again. He is so
No,
wasted on the wings. Like I know he can still dribble by people and stuff, but his impact comes from like being in the middle and tying everything together. Trace is 100% right. Pulisic freed up more to do like what he uh like honestly kind of just like what he wants. Like
yeah,
he doesn't have to think so much about having to like get everyone else involved. He can take the initiative and he makes good decisions. So I like that from him. Um but yeah, I mean I never again do I want to see Gio on the wing. And I know it's gonna happen in an important game at some point, but just please, Greg, look at these results. Do not just keep spamming crosses in. This team is at its best when it's like attacking vertically, one and two touches in the midfield, and then create a chance. And we have the fucking players to do it. Geo class, Weah, Pacey, Balogun, Pacey, and clinical. This is the way the U.S. men's national team should play against not a horrible Ghana side, like a pretty good Ghana side. At least with some good players. I don't know if they're a great team, but Kudus Party part of that team. Some class in there, not too many names, but still.
Nike Williams.
A solid win. A solid win. Yeah, Naki Williams, Bilbao, sure. But 4-0 doesn't flatter the US men's national team based off the performance. And I think that's important because this is definitely like a type of team that you can see in the World Cup. And if you can get that same result, that's a huge statement.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a big
and I
rival.
think yeah, I think Gio Reyna is the most important player. Maybe not the best. I think Pulisic has really hit some form and is just so good and so dangerous recently. I wouldn't say best, but
Consistent.
definitely most important. I think you just see a huge difference in how this team operates when Gio Reyna is connecting everything through the center, and like Mike said, allows Christian Pulisic to make all those runs that he makes that are so dangerous. That has been paying off both at Milan and now with the U.S. team. But I do think that there's a bit of a Greg paradox that I've been thinking of, and I think the thing with Greg is that he will get this team to perform against the teams that they're expected to win against. I think you see a team like Ghana, they are probably expected to win against this. And I do think this shows that previously we were on like kind of that same level as Ghana, where it would go either way. It was four matches, two for each side, both or every game was 2-1. So we were at that same level as Ghana. This I think shows that we do have that class more than Ghana. But I think
Agreed.
the issue is that Greg showed from the Germany game that, and not just the Germany game, but a lot of big games for Greg Berhalter, he doesn't have a statement win. He hasn't shown that against a bigger team he can pull off a win. And I think a big part of that, and I heard this from the ESPN FC crew. They said that Greg Berhalter just isn't okay with playing non-pretty soccer. He wants to have possession. He wants to be crossing it in, playing it, and going at a team. But in a game against like a Germany or the Netherlands, tactically it might be smarter to just sit back and allow them to have a little possession and hit on the counter with your good players in transitions or take your opportunities more rather than being caught out with the Netherlands caught out by balls crossed back when they're on the break and breaking on our team versus Germany. Seemed like it's kind of the same. We were very open against them. Mike, do you think it's an issue with Greg that he can get us to perform at the level we should be, but he's not allowing us to really take off many upsets here? Do you see that as well, or am I reaching on
Yeah.
that
No,
take?
and I think you're right. And the only like statement result I can think of is our performance against England in the World Cup, where we get that tie. Um, and I don't think that's so much on Greg. I think our players just stepped up and really put in a hell of a performance. The
Musa
midfield
had a
three in
hell of a game.
particular, like
Yeah.
it was unreal. England didn't play their best game either. Um, so that is the benchmark. But then other than that, when we play Germany, when we play Netherlands, these good European teams, and we'll probably see it in Copa America next year when we play the good South American teams. Yeah, we stick to the game plan. We don't adjust. We're not willing to play a block or really pack it in or adjust the personnel even. He has the guys he wants to play the game, and they're going to start regardless of the matchup. Um, and in professional soccer, you don't do like a man mark. Like you can't really do that. You get dragged out of position. But when you have a dude like Jamal Musiala on the field, who is that fucking dangerous, or when we play England, Jude Bellingham, um, something like that, you need to adjust to play against those guys because they are that dangerous and they will mess you up. And that's what we saw against Germany. Musiala got too free. Leroy Sané was left untouched on the wing at times, and then they don't necessarily score in the first chance, but on Ilkay Gundogan's goal, a second chance opportunity. On Fulkrug's goal, a second chance opportunity. There's no adjustment. And another negative for him, I won't look into it too much because these are friendly games. His substitutions suck. He has no sort of idea of what he's doing with substitutions. I think in a friendly, you can give him a little bit of leeway. He's probably going to change the guys regardless because he wants people to play. He's going to take off Reyna 45 minutes probably because he's coming back from injury and he wants to put other guys up there to see what they do. But his substitutions in the World Cup were awful. They don't seem like tactical decisions. They're not well thought through, um, and they always seem to have a negative impact on the game rather than a positive one.
I think he has had some good substitutions with Pepe in World Cup qualifying coming on and saving his job against Honduras.
That's
But I do
right.
think that you look at a lot of his substitutions and it's more just so we have a decent player in that position, so I'm going to throw it in rather than you know, excuse me, seeing some type of weakness and saying this player can exploit that. Let me put them
Exactly.
in.
Hundred
I
percent
think
agree.
that's kind of what you see, and I think there's just not many tactical adjustments that you see with Greg Berhalter in these games. I think Sergino Dest playing at left back, you know, whatever. But you see him against Leroy Sané, and Sané is just giving him the work, and a lot of it is you have Pulisic and Sergino Dest on one side. Both of them are attacking. Sergino Dest is just absolutely rocketing up the field, and you do want him to attack, but then switch him sides. Scally and Dest can play both sides. Have Dest go back against a Verts rather than Sane. Sane is more dangerous and just a lot more pacey for those counterattacks. I think he just doesn't see that, and I think you could see Sane getting so many attempts at that and getting Germany down the field with that. And I don't know why he didn't make any type of adjustment to that, or at least just tell Sergio Dest to stay home a little bit more because we are getting so many attacks down that side where Pulisic was having to sprint back.
Yeah.
McKennie or Musa were getting pulled out of position, and then you're messing up your entire formation off of something that has happened 10 times. You should see a pattern.
And that seems really simple. I mean, Dest is not the most defensively sound fullback, but you put him on the right side and you have Tim Weah who will cover, who has a higher defensive work rate than Pulisic does, and who's even played fullback at the club level a bunch of times when he was at Lille. So right, have Scally cover Pulisic. It seems simple, but you're right. He didn't identify that at all.
Yeah. I think there's just little things that he might need to identify. But we move forward. Big games there. A lot to learn at least at very minimum. And some positives based off that Ghana game at the end with that interplay of the front four. Now we go into our locks of the week to close us out here. Nick, we start with you. Who is your lock of the week, and what is the score of that game?
Got to back the boys. Footy with the boys. Let's go. Arsenal 2, Chelsea 0. Lock it in. Big victory for the boys at the Emirates this weekend.
All right. 2-0 Arsenal over Chelsea. Mike, I see you have a similar scoreline here. What are the teams involved?
Taking the Red Devils over Sheffield. I don't want to be involved with Manchester United, but they're playing the worst team in the league, so you got to think they're going to get it done. That's my thought
By 2
process, at
goals,
least.
you think?
But yeah,
Now, Mike, when we previewed this game earlier, you
yeah.
did not seem very sure. You said they have to rather than they will. So,
How could you be sure, man?
lock of the
How
week.
how
It is
could
a
you be
lead
sure?
lock.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
2-0, yep.
And
And
you
then
could see in my victory slots, 2 of my wins so far are against Sheffield, so we might want to keep riding with it. It seemed to be pretty good so far.
he's riding the boat against Sheffield. Sheffield fans rise up against him. If you guys
Not bad.
have any strength left after seeing what's happened to your team recently, my
You better
game,
sharpen those blades.
my lock is Big Ange and the Spurs. I'm going 2-1 over Fulham. The Americans are going down, sadly, to the Spurs here. I think Spurs just are on a heater of form and doing very well for themselves. I say Tim Ream maybe gets a goal here, though. 2-1. Spurs. All right, boys. That does it for another episode of Footy with the Boys. Any closing thoughts? Nick, close us out. What are you thinking?
Excited to have it back this weekend. I think we all missed our Sunday and Saturday morning watching the Prem, so looking forward to some good games this week, bro. I'm excited. Excited to talk about it on Sunday.
Mike, some wisdom for the viewers to get through the weekend.
Palmer gave Fulham an extra L, and that's just disrespectful. What did they do to you?
Fuck those guys.
My wisdom is watch every game except Brentford and Burnley, and you'll have a great weekend.
Bro, they're just gonna go full
All
ham on the
right,
Spurs.
you
That's the
heard it
deal.
here
Maybe
first,
like
folks.
4-4, yeah.
Don't watch the Bees this weekend. Other than that, boys, we will see you next time with a review of everything that went down. Go ahead, click subscribe, hit notifications, and until next week, see you later.
Later, fellas.